World Cup worker sentenced to 100 lashes after sexual assault
Oh my
complaint. And
God.
you've spoken about this numerous times before. So this girl is South American woman. She was there for Qatar World Cup and working, and then she was sexually assaulted. A woman has been forced to flee Qatar. Luckily, she fled just in time after being sentenced to 100 lashes. Mexican woman Paula Shitikat Sida's story is at the center of major international incidents. Senior economics advisors' complaints have led to public shaming of the country just months out of the Football World Cup, which the country is hosting for the first time under controversial circumstances. The Qatar World Cup has been mired in allegations of human rights violations,
Yes.
bribery, and misconduct. We have a Nuria made a detailed video on that, how the abuse of workers and
The
what kind
modern
of
day slavery
laws.
that is ensuing in Qatar, literally to build these stadiums that these international teams are going to come and play at. So it's literally built on the back of slave labor. And now, as we see, also the treatment of women like this. I mean, this. I'm sure she went to the authorities for help, right? So I was just trying to understand the article, and then she got lashed, and then she managed to escape, which I'm so glad she did,
Exactly.
because usually if you're already lashed, then they would just take the punishment like full throttle. But because I'm guessing she is not she's an international citizen, it would have caused more of a ruckus, and so she was able to leave. Usually they would put a travel ban on you as well, because it's all your fault if you file a complaint like that, because again, you were in a situation where you were exposed to men who are not your mahram or guardian in the Arabic system and under the Islamic laws. And so you are at fault for just being there and being and existing and being raped. It's your fault. You're part of the problem.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the video we have. If you want to go have a look, just put Har Sultan Qatar World Cup. That would give you a bit more insight on that. So it involves the same thing. Now, this is just a different element, as Nuria said, that this highlights the social. So we just read the story where UAE was banned because of his anti or his homophobic worldview and laws, where a lot of homosexuals suffer under that. And now this one, I think feminist organizations, but unfortunately, feminism is not really that high on the agenda anymore. As transphobia is probably, again, not discrediting the or putting one over the other, but feminism still needs to keep going. But feminists should say that, well, hang on a second, what is this? So this woman, as you guessed it right, homosexuality is illegal, but application of the law identical in both Dubai and Abu Dhabi has become progressively more liberal. But esports was good. They cancelled it. But yeah, they're getting there. Having an extramarital relationship is a crime in Qatar, although just legally recently decriminalized in the UAE, but not in Qatar yet, which can be punished with up to 10 years in prison and 100 lashes. So this woman, the country is permitting fans to wave rainbow flags at World Cup events this year when the tournament begins on November 21st. Okay, so they're permitting it. This is something. The outrage that the country being granted the rights to host the biggest sporting event on the planet has been further fueled by Shaikha Saida's tell-all article this month, revealing the brutal details of why she fled the country. She had been working in the country with the organizing committee for the Qatar World Cup. This is how stupid it is. She wasn't even just an ordinary citizen to tourists. She was not a citizen. Not that it makes it okay, but I'm
Yeah, it
saying
doesn't
this
make
is
a
how
difference
stupid.
either way. But yeah,
But it shows that how hardcore they are with their rigidness over these misogynistic laws. That's what it shows. Because if they had a casual approach to it, they might have looked the other way and they might have ignored it and they might have said, okay, let's just do something about it. But they treated her, because their views are so strong and so discriminatory towards women, that they said, no, screw you. Even if it damages our global reputation at this crucial point, we'll take it. So she had been working in the country. However, that all changed in June when she said she was sexually assaulted by a work colleague she considered to be a friend. Her bombshell article alleges in graphic detail how her life turned into a nightmare after the colleague snuck into her room while she was sleeping. After a
jeez.
brief struggle, as his strength exceeded mine, I ended up on the floor. Hours later, I had bruises all over my left arm, shoulder, and back. I kept a cool head. I told my mum, a colleague from work, and I documented everything with photos so that my memory, in an attempt to protect itself, would not minimize the events or completely erase part of them. So she actually showed the photo. If it was consensual sex, Why was it? And let me give you the reason why it happened. And we'll cover that later. The where this. So a lot of Westerners would be thinking, hang on, but if she had photos, bruises, if it's rape, why is she being why is she being punished for consensual sex out of wedlock? Because it's not consensual. Clearly, it's rape. Does Islam? Yes, Islam has a major role to play in that, and I'll show you why. She says she consulted with Mexican consulate officials before reporting a complaint to office. She says she had a stupid Mexican consulate officials.
Okay, because
They
I was
should
going
have
to say
told her.
that's very clever of her to contact them before reporting her complaint. Ideally, literally, ideally, they would have told her to leave. But okay,
No, but
if
they
you're saying
didn't.
they didn't, yeah.
Yeah, she says she had a medical certificate supporting her claims of abuse as well as photos detailing her injuries. She says she was ordered to return to the police station hours later. This part, I think, doesn't make sense. So she's saying she did that before complaint to her police. So Mexico, obviously, this implies the Mexican consulate did not know that, hang on a second, you could be done for adultery. So anyway, so police flipped the investigation on his head after interviewing the man she alleges attacked her, turning her into the accused. The alleged attacker responded to the accusation by claiming they were in a romantic relationship together. Now, this is another bullshit. Every rapist does that, yeah? It was consensual sex. Now she has fled. So, okay, Qatar, you can't get her and actually carry out the punishment. Now, would you carry out that 100 lashes punishment on this mofo? Because he's admitted that it was consensual sex, and adultery is punishable by 100 lashes if you're single, and if you're married, then stoning to death. But I think Qatar jurisprudence or allegation, let's just go by Qatar law, which is part Islamic, part not Islamic. Have they actually carried out the punishment on him? It was 3 hours of interrogation in Arabic. At a certain point, they demanded a virginity test. You know how they do a virginity test? A two-finger test. For some reason, I had become the accused, as if as if only virgins get raped. This is so stupid. For some reason, I had become the accused. When I asked why, they demanded that I give them my cell phone. They assured me that there were no charges against me, that they just wanted to verify that there was no romantic relationship between us. From one moment to another, my complaint no longer mattered. The police referred the case to the public prosecutor's office, the only place where I had a translator. Everything centered around the extramarital affair. She says the trauma of the episode has left her still having moments where she regrets ever reporting the alleged crime, which is true. Let me say that. Unfortunately, we obviously encourage women to come out. Me Too movement is a great facilitator of that. We say, come out if you've been sexually assaulted, not just raped, but even assaulted. If you've been touched unwillingly, unwanted, make that mofo know that sorry, this is not sorry, this is not welcome. And now, in the Western world, the police does take it seriously. Some cases maybe they don't because of lack of evidence, and sometimes if they see the technicality and they see it's hard, difficult to prove. So we encourage women to come forward. But this is the message from Middle Eastern countries. If you've been raped, do not come forward, because you would also be victimized and you would be given 100 lashes. That's the message. And is it more or less the same in it was the same in UAE as well?
Yeah, sorry, that article just brought back so much of my own story, because it's literally the same damn thing. Like every single time a story from the Middle East comes out like that, like everything she was saying, like you go to the police, they flip something on its head, you become the person in question, and if you don't flee, you're literally screwed. And I just want to comment, because Diana here says, wait, she was a foreigner. I thought non-nationals were more protected from these laws because of the international opinion. And this is just something I want to clarify. The way that this girl had contacted the Mexican authorities or whatever to get a stance, I don't know where they went wrong and told her to go ahead and report it. Believe me, when I was going to the police station as a Muslim woman before I was even British, I was putting the fact that I was a Muslim woman meant to be protected by these laws here. They could not care less about the fact that I was British. Yes, they didn't straight away chuck me into jail, which they might have done ordinarily if I was just like Pakistani or something. But because of that, that was no way in hell going to change what it is they wanted to do, in terms of letting Sharia law loose on you. So whether you're a foreigner or a national, their laws, when you've done something to step or cross over the line, or they want to like prove a message, or they want to teach you a lesson, and it's usually literally 99.9% of the time just siding with the male in whichever case you're involved in. It's always siding with the male and making the woman a scapegoat. They really don't care whether you're a foreigner or a national, and then it really is down to you. Like I was just at the front of the police station with my passport. I was so defeated. I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of exactly what this girl said. The police ordered her to the station. Every single day they'd call me on the weekends after 10 o'clock. And I was just like, you're just exhausted. I was like, take my passport, like do what you want. And it was just that end thing of the British emergency number to say, look, this is what their law does. And I know that, but you're so caught up in the moment. She's gone through a sexual, like she's been raped. Like there's so much going through your mind in that moment. You're trying to deal with the situation. You're trying to acknowledge what's happened to you. Then you go there and you're dealing with these disgustingly misogynistic men who, I'm not sure about her, but in my case, those same police I'm going to ask for my safety are trying to flirt back with me, or like asking me questions that are just not relevant to the case at all, and keeping me there for hours just to be able to spend time talking to me, and like and just making that, everything makes the situation so much worse. And in the Gulf, I would definitely say, no matter what happens to you, if you accidentally get pregnant out of wedlock, if you get raped, if you get sexually assaulted and harassed, there is no justice for you, whether you're a national or a foreigner. Get the hell out. I learned this lesson very early on when I was in school in Saudi Arabia. I think she was English, or she was either from England or New Zealand, I can't remember. But my art teacher actually got driven into the middle of the Saudi desert by a taxi driver and raped and left there to die. And this woman, obviously, she was in her like late 40s, early 50s. And she came to school the next day, gathered her belongings, and silently left Saudi Arabia, because that woman knew, if I go and try and get justice in the country, they are going to slap it back in my face. This man will never be held accountable for his actions, but my life would be over, and you'd be lashed and you'd be put in jail. So she did it's so sad that that's the way that world is, but there is no justice in there for women when there's crimes like this, because of, as Haris said, there's so many concepts that come through Islam, and they manifest themselves in the Sharia law that is applied in the UAE today, in Qatar today, in Bahrain, in Oman, in all of these countries. Yes, they're all slightly different and they do it to a lesser degree, but there is no justice there for a woman.
I just want to set the record straight that Nouria's story is slightly different. She wasn't, obviously, you weren't raped, but you had a jealous ex-husband. He accused you of adultery and you had no chance. It was probably better for you, despite of your British passport, it was better for you to just leave the country rather than to stay there. It was just irrelevant. And
because the same thing as she was saying, it's all Arabic, no translators until you get to the public prosecution does whatever with the case. It's just not worth it. It's really not.
Yeah. So just to wrap it up, what exactly happened with this story? So she says she fled the country with the support of Mexican consulate officials, kind of like what you did with the British consulate and the Qatar World Cup organizing committee. Once she arrived safely back in Mexico, she learned that her accuser had been cleared and that her case was soon to be heard at a criminal court. Now, again, how does that make sense, Nouria? If you have established that they both were involved in a consensual sex.
No, because they'll drag the woman. They did the exact same thing with me. I was in the UK and they were like, your adultery case will still go to a criminal court. It's just, they will not let up at all.
But why is he cleared? Because if the charge is adultery, then both are involved. Give them both 100 lashes. Listen. Luckily, she's out, so she can't get it. But son, you can't go anywhere. Come here. So at least he'll get 100 lashes. She'll get some closure. But no, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
If they have already, so why is he cleared? I just don't
get
it.
It makes no sense. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I believed in this system once upon a time, and I thought the same thing. If one party is going down, two parties will go down, right? Or that you'd go down together. There's no way you can dismiss somebody of a case and then pursue that case in a criminal context. But over here, you can. I'm telling you, the public prosecution sit there with their case files, and they depend whether they decide whether they like your name, whether you sound like a criminal, whether you don't. Have they got a gift from you this week? No. Did you talk back to them last week too much, or was your father too Western for them? anything. There's no justice there. I'm so glad she's gotten out now and she's able to tell the world her story.
To add insult to injury, and a lot of women end up doing that again. So Muhammad did that to Sophia. Anyway, so she claims that her own lawyer advised her that the solution to her problem was to marry her attacker. Isn't that amazing? If you can't get a girl, you can't impress her, whatever. This is what they're saying.
No, that's
Just
because
rape
the
her.
case would be cleared then, according to this context,
Yeah.
because in Islam there's no such thing as marital rape, so they would both be off the hook. That's how
Or,
dark
or,
that is.
or you are forgiven for adultery if you end up marrying. Her case ended when the court found her guilty of extramarital relations, sentencing her to 100 lashes and 7 years imprisonment. So again, so shouldn't that be for both? Because they were both in an extramarital relationship.
Horace, I'm really like in awe of you trying to like rationalize this process, but believe me, mate, it's not worth it. It really you're wasting your time.
Did she have an extramarital relationship with a dildo or something? That I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
You're wasting.
Both
There we
are
go.
involved.
There we go. That's why speaking like this and showing what actually happens there is so damn cathartic, because it makes no sense. None of it. And you only
No.
realize this stuff happens under the guise of Sharia, which is why you have to call it out. Call Sharia out from the root. It's only in these systems you marry your rapist, for Christ's sake. Sorry about the Christ's sake thing, but you get it.
So they're throwing in money, and it's a major blow to their PR. And they've signed David Beckham for a deal worth $277 million over the next 10 years. David Beckham. And you know what? Should we call out David Beckham for getting in bed with these guys? But hang on, it's $277 million. You can't throw that. Really? Is Beckham making that much money after that many years of retirement? $277 million. Okay, so does Islam, the international community's indifference to Qatar hosting the event. Qatar has also been heavily criticized over its treatment of the army of migrant workers, which our very own Nuria has done. Many from the Indian subcontinent who are laboring to build $10 billion worth of World Cup infrastructure. Trade union bodies and human rights organizations have calculated 1,200 workers have died to date as the stadiums emerge in the blistering desert heat. A figure Qataris dispute. Again, this cannot be a propaganda, because you know why? Because these organizations have far better reputation than this country. So that's why, even though I find it hard to believe, but I would go by that purely on the principle that these organizations have better one. These are the countries, authoritarian countries are the ones who actually run propaganda, not free-thinking organizations. So anyway, that's a sad state of Qatar.
If you like these videos and want to support me in my activism, then you can support me on Patreon or PayPal. Stay free, everyone.